How you going, people? Man, let me tell you, the FBI is freaking outrageous. You talk about an unethical, crooked government, secret government, a deep state government. I mean, this guy's Peter, and I've heard his name pronounced everywhere from Stork to Stock to Stark, Zork. However he pronounced his name, we'll just call him Peter Liar. He is one sleazy lowdown. Now, if you don't remember this guy in this interview here, I mean, I'm going to go over how he's lying, how you can tell he's lying, deception, how he's playing the lawyer's game, etc. But this interview was very telling to me that this guy is a crooked, unethical weasel. And he's best buds with Comey. And he was married, sleeping with another FBI agent, cheating on his wife. The other FBI agent also didn't like Trump. So the lady he was sleeping with was anti-Trump. She's the one that sent him an email saying, we're not going to let Trump get elected, or he goes over it in here. But this dude is just sleazy from all definitions of the word. And he tries to play himself off during this interview as he's a patriot and it would never interfere with his investigation. And he's such an sounds exactly like Comey. Arrogant, narcissistic, thinking he's so important and he's so perfect. He doesn't admit one wrongdoing, and his actions are just outrageous. Let's take a look at some of this. So here, Gowdy's saying that the definition of destabilization, because one of the text messages from this great, outstanding, cheating on his wife, ethical FBI agent, Pete, or is his first name Peter? I think it is. He used the term, he can't believe idiots voted for Trump and it was going to destabilize the country and tear it apart. He's a Hillary fan. He's an Obama fan. He's a left-wing loon. He's anti-American. He's anti-Trump. He's anti-freedom. And he's like the second dude or one of the highest guys in the FBI. He investigated both Hillary and Trump. Guess what? Hillary was cleared. Trump's still under investigation 2 years later. Call that a clue.
To call something such as a government to be incapable of functioning or surviving. That's a pretty significant allegation to make 10 days before you even began to investigate someone. So that was before July.
So the point he's making here is, look, you didn't even start your investigation. You haven't interviewed a witness, and you've already come to a conclusion about the investigation that the person you're investigating is guilty, he's going to destabilize the country, and he shouldn't be president. And then you're going to sit here with this smug look and say, oh, I would never let my personal opinions interfere with an event. Same thing Comey said, same thing Mueller's saying, same thing all the left-wing loons are saying. Just outrageous. Remember, people, if they can do this to a guy that was elected president, what can they do to you and me? Our government is out of control.
July 31st. I want to ask you in that first week, we'll go ahead and up it to 8 days, between July 31st and August 8th, how many interviews did you conduct related to the alleged collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign?
Okay, here's the thing that this is called a pause. This is called a delay. This is called a take away the impact and the damage that this question has done, and let me act like I'm being professional and I'm following the rules of law and I'm getting advice from counsel. Look, this guy's a government employee. He works for the President of the United States. His boss works for the President of the United States. They fall under the Department of Justice, which falls under the President. The FBI director is appointed by the President. He is what's called being insubordinate in police terms to his chain of command. No police officer could do what this guy is doing, but because he's the left and the left wing is protecting him, because he's lying, because they're all lying, because they're all trying to confuse people, he is getting away with it, and it's outrageous. He has FBI counsel. You know what? As a cop, I never had government counsel. I either had private counsel or I was on my own. And most cops have a union that pays in, so they have private counsel. But the government doesn't give you counsel to defend you. Well, guess what? Peter has FBI counsel. He has lawyers that are paid for by taxpayers to get him to lie and take the fifth about taxpayer and public business. This is absolutely outrageous, people.
So, Congressman, as you know, counsel for the FBI, based on the special counsel's equities, has instructed me not to answer questions about the ongoing investigation. I'm asking.
Big. Anytime you hear government say ongoing investigation, you need to throw up the big BS flag, because if they don't talk about ongoing investigations, there wouldn't be leaks. People wouldn't know there was an ongoing investigation, and the investigation would have integrity and would be held confidential. If everybody knows there's an investigation, saying we don't talk about ongoing investigation is a cover-up and a scam. Learn how your government lies to the people and the press. This is a lie.
For a number, Russian attempts to interfere. Agent Strzok, I'm asking for a number. I haven't gotten to the names. How many people had you interviewed between the beginning of it on July 31st and August the 8th? It's an 8-day time period. We're a week into an investigation. How many people had you interviewed? Congressman, I understand your question. I appreciate it, and I would very much like to answer.
I appreciate it. I'd very like to answer it. You know how he wants to answer it? On advice of counsel, I can't answer it. Again, when you hear these people throwing in a bunch of fillers in their answers and they don't want to answer the question, and I appreciate it and I understand and I'm a patriot, and they're stalling for time. The way congressional hearings work is each congressman only gets a certain amount of time to ask him questions. So the longer you can stall, the longer you can dance around the question, the less questions you have to answer, the less information you have to give, the less honest you have to be, and the more you can keep people saying, what did we get out of this interview? You interviewed this guy for 10 minutes and all we got is, counsel told me not to talk. I appreciate your questions. I understand it. I'm a patriot. I want to cooperate. I love the country. I love the flag. Wrap me in the flag. I'm a great American because I love Hillary and hate Trump. And I want to destroy everything because of my position in the FBI. But I'm not going to answer any questions on advice of counsel. It is just outrageous on our tax dollars and how corrupt our federal government is.
But as I've stated, as you know, that counsel of the FBI, based on the special counsel's equities, have directed me not to answer any questions about the ongoing investigation into Russian attempts to interfere.
But the gentleman will suspend and the clock will suspend. Mr. Strzok, you are under subpoena and are required to answer the question. Are you objecting to the question? If so, please state your objection.
Mr. Chairman, I object.
The gentleman does not have standing to object. There is no
point of order.
No point of order here.
Point of order should be heard.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
My point of order is that intentionally or otherwise, this demand puts Mr. Strzok in an impossible position. He is still...
Again, he's reading. He doesn't care about this. They have pre-prepared points to delay and obstruct the questioning to make the process so long and so difficult that most people give up, time restraints cause it to end, and they get to hide information. I mean, our elected representatives are not held accountable. This should be an interview, a guy subpoenaed, he answers questions, he's asked questions, no filibustering, no coming in with a bunch of BS, trying to delay and stop. The left, the Dems, who also love Hillary and Obama and hate Trump, love when the government, an FBI agent, is on their side. And they are going to try to help and protect him. It's just outrageous.
Still an employee of the FBI, and FBI counsel has instructed him not to answer the question.
The gentleman...
If we have a problem with this policy, we should take it up with the FBI, not badger Mr. Strzok.
The gentleman's point of order is not well taken.
It's right on point.
No, it's not. Mr. Strzok, are you objecting to the question? And if so, please state your objection.
Mr. Chairman, two things. One, I do not believe I am here under subpoena. I believe I am here voluntarily.
Okay. So this is how you throw out false lies and you confuse people watching who aren't paying attention. He just said, I'm here voluntarily, I'm not under subpoena. What he did is he dodged the subpoena and they tried. He works for the federal government. Now, normally you just send it to the department head and he's served. But no, not in the federal government, not the FBI. They want to be personally served. They're not going to be served on behalf of their department that they work for, that they're getting paid for by taxpayer dollars. So he dodged the subpoena guy for 3 times, but he was officially served. They finally said, you know what? Due diligence, we served you 3 times. You're going to show up. And he showed up because he was compelled. He is not here voluntarily, but he got it out. It's on the record. Talking points. Liberals will be repeating it. The CNN and MSNBC liars will be repeating. He was there on his own free will. He's an honest guy. He's married. He's an FBI. Yeah, he was cheating with another FBI agent, but that's okay. They were trying to conspire to overthrow Trump. That's okay because we don't like Trump. Reverse it. If these guys were doing this to Obama, there would be outrage. CNN, MSNBC be covering it every day, saying how outrageous and untrustworthy the FBI was. You just have to learn that the media is run by the government, and the government lies, and the media lies, and you just can't believe what you're seeing. So you have to question and use that critical eye and know how they're playing the game. If you don't know the rules of the game, you're never going to be a player.
Second, I will not, based on direction of the FBI to me, based on that, I will not answer that question.
Now, the problem with this is, just because you're advised not to answer, that doesn't mean you don't have to answer. There's no legal protection because you're a lawyer. If a lawyer tells me not to talk and I ignore that, there's no criminal offense there. I'm not facing prison because I ignored my counsel. I'm simply saying, you know what, I have nothing to hide, and I'm here to answer. Counsel does not give you protection to ignore a subpoena or to refuse to answer. So I still think they ought to, offer immunity because nobody gets charged any damn way. And if you offer somebody immunity, then you can compel them to talk, and then they're in contempt if they don't talk. He's there under subpoena. Congressman asked him a question. He's an employee of the government. He's working for the government. He's getting paid to be there, and he's trying to obstruct an investigation from the House Senate Committee. So, to me, he shouldn't have a damn choice or he should be fired. But because he's going after Trump, all rules change.
Because it goes to matters which are related to the ongoing investigations being undertaken by the Special
Mr.
Counsel's
Strzok,
Office.
you have not stated a valid legal basis for not responding to a question directed to you by a member of the United States House of Representatives, and you are overruled.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Let me continue. Your testimony is essential to this hearing and to our oversight and information gathering functions with regard to the actions taken and decisions made by the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2016 and 2017. I am specifically directing you to answer the question in response to our subpoena, notwithstanding your objection.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Strzok, please be advised.
Stall, point of order. Let me protect you. Hang on, let me get this pit bull off you. Let me try and deflect from your lying and hiding behind your counsel. Let me try to say point of order. Let me try to show how the gentleman, notice they call each other gentlemen. You guys are sleazy sleazebags.
You can either comply with the committee's directive to answer the question or refuse to do so, the latter of which will place you at risk of a contempt citation and potential criminal liability.
Point of
Do
order.
you understand that?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
The question is directed to the witness.
And I have a point of order before he answers the question.
The point of order is not well taken until...
You don't know what the point of order is. You can't say it's not well taken.
The point of order, the witness will answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, I raise my point of order and I insist on it.
What is the point of order?
The United States Attorney's Manual instructs department personnel not to respond to questions about the existence of an ongoing investigation or comment on its nature or progress.
Did we already hear this like 3 or 4 times?
In a letter to Congressman John Linder in 2000, referred to as the Linder letter, the department made this policy explicitly applicable to...
Now remember, I have this speed at 1 1/4. If I slow this down, it goes even slower. Because they're all talking slow because the gentleman does not have to take up time, burn time, waste people time, get people disinterested, get people to turn off because of all the BS, and we'll never get to the meat and potatoes of what the hell's going on.
A request from Congress, quote, although Congress has a clearly legitimate interest in determining how the department enforces statutes, congressional inquiries during the pendency of a matter pose an inherent threat to the integrity of the department's law enforcement and litigation functions, unquote. Therefore, the question being directed at the witness is out of order. The witness's declination to answer it as against the instructions of the FBI pursuant to FBI policy, which is necessary so as not to...
So let me get this straight. This left-wing loon is saying the FBI can lie and obstruct an investigation, can hide an investigation, can refuse to answer to Congress. The FBI can hire their own FBI counsel at taxpayer money. I mean, next thing you know, FBI counsel is going to have FBI counsel. And when we try to talk to him, it'll be, well, on advice of my FBI counsel that counsels the FBI counsel, I can't answer. And people wonder why our damn country's out of control. You got liberals running around saying, we need more government, we need more taxes, we need more government to protect us. This is what you want protecting you? Our federal government's broke, people.
Allow us to subvert an ongoing criminal investigation. He is right. He should not answer the question.
The gentleman has not stated a valid point of order.
The ruling of the chair in that case.
So, by another congressman saying he's right and he shouldn't answer, again, this is going to be reported. Poor Peter was being mistreated by the mean Trump-loving Republicans, and even another congressman said that he was right and he shouldn't answer. He did nothing wrong, and his integrity is above reproach, and he's such an outstanding FBI agent.
Nonetheless, the United States Supreme Court has recognized that it is unquestionably the duty of all citizens to cooperate with the Congress in its efforts to obtain the facts needed for intelligent legislative action. It is their unremitting obligation to respect the dignity of the Congress and its committees and to testify fully with respect to matters within the province of proper investigation.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, you know, or we all know, that if we were to ask a question of a witness about a military secret, if we were to ask him, how does the H-bomb work? He could not answer that question. This is the same thing.
That is.
Hey, dumbass, you can Google how the H-bomb works. Quit being a freaking idiot.
It's a classification issue, not an issue of whether or not this is a valid question for which...
I appeal the ruling of the chair. He's ruled that it's not a point of order.
That is not a ruling. Mr. Strzok?
Mr. Chairman, I insist on my point of order, and I insist on appealing the ruling of the chair.
Mr. Strzok, knowing the advice that
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. I believe there's a point of order that's been raised, and you've ruled we have a right now to answer Mr. Nadler's.
It is not a valid point of order. The chair has
already
already...
expressed it, Mr. Chairman, because you don't...
Notice this smile and grin, and the attorneys are like, perfect. This is exactly what we want. Stall. Delay. We don't have to answer. We've been here for 7 minutes, and the only thing the witness has said is on advice of counsel, I can't answer. Wow.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Strzok.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal the ruling of the chair that you have just made on whether the...
You have not stated a valid point of order.
And that is your ruling, and I appeal it.
That is not an appealable...
Point of order. Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman. Appealing the ruling of the chair is exactly what he's requesting. He's appealing...
Oh, another liberal Democrat jumping in to help his liberal. Can we tell the liberals? Anyway, it's just... ridiculous.
That requires a vote to either sustain it or overrule it.
The gentleman from New York has not cited a rule of the House that is being violated. Therefore, it is not a point of order.
That's your ruling.
That ruling of the chair.
Mr. Chairman, is it not appropriate to also interject the attorney-client privilege, which cannot be overridden?
Attorney-client privilege can't be... We'll tell that to Trump's lawyer when they raided his house. When the FBI, run by this crooked, wife-cheating, low-down piece of crap, it's just outrageous.
And is a rule of the House to the extent that witnesses have the right.
Miss Lee. Jackson Lee. Jackson, she ought to change her name. They just took down a statue in Dallas because it had some Jackson horse or something.
To an attorney-client privilege in this House. And that is what this witness is asserting. Attorney-client privilege, and he has been advised not to answer the question.
The gentleman will suspend. The gentleman has not raised...
Well, I think it's a gentlewoman, but he called her a gentleman. They've got him jacked up. He's trying to focus on the interview, and they've got him focusing on him. Yeah, and these people write laws saying you can't have a gun to protect yourself because we'll protect you. Yeah. Keep voting.
The attorney-client privilege. He has said that he's been instructed by the FBI not to answer the question. Now,
by lawyers.
He knows the advice I have just given him. If he would like, I'll restate it. But knowing this, will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee's question?
Point of parliamentary
the
inquiry,
ruling of
Mr.
the chair
Chairman.
that
Point of parliamentary
order was
inquiry.
not in order.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman from South Carolina has the time. A parliamentary inquiry is not in order during the gentleman's time. The chair is instructing the witness to answer the question. And
see, this is how rules in government get passed. They have so many rules that they can't get any business done. They have so many laws that a citizen can't make a living or drive or do anything or produce anything or have, you know, they just, that's what politicians do. It's just, our government's so broke.
the question to you is,
Mr. Chairman.
will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee's question?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
You're not recognized for that purpose.
Mr. Chairman, I think you have no choice but to recognize such a motion.
I do not have.
Are we just going to make up rules as we go along? Is that,
The motion is not in order during the time controlled by the gentleman from South Carolina.
I appeal that ruling of the chair.
Mr. Strzok, will you
Chairman,
answer?
I appeal your ruling of the chair that my motion to adjourn is not in order.
The gentleman is not in order.
That may be, but I appeal your ruling.
The gentleman is not recognized. Knowing this, will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee?
Still haven't got an answer. Now we're 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes in. He's smiling and smirking because he's like, these freaking idiots. All I got to do is keep saying on advice of counsel, and I ain't going to have to say anything. What a joke.
Committee's question.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, counsel for the FBI has directed me not to answer questions about the ongoing investigation. As you also know, counsel for the FBI is sitting here behind me. May I consult with them?
You may consult with your own counsel.
But I may not consult with the FBI's counsel?
Only with your own counsel.
Mr. Chairman, there's no basis for that. He can consult with the FBI counsel. He's an FBI employee.
The gentleman is not recognized.
And the chairman is not being proper.
The chairman is being proper.
the witness can't be directed not to confer with his attorney.
But the FBI is not his attorney. His attorney is seated behind him. If he wishes
He's an
to consult
employee
with
of the
his attorney,
FBI,
as he's already done, he may do so.
And his attorney may consult with the FBI attorney?
Isn't the privilege that of the FBI, and shouldn't the FBI counsel be solicited on that point?
What a joke. This is why we can't get answers. This is why government isn't held accountable. If you want to watch the interview, it's a pretty good interview, but Strzok basically lies throughout it, wraps himself in the flag, doesn't answer questions. They read his emails. His emails are absolutely outrageous. I mean, his emails are just fireable. As a cop, if I sent emails like that out during an investigation, I'd be fired. It would be outrageous. You just can't be blatantly biased, sending emails about, I'm going to overthrow the government and Trump's horrible, and you haven't even started the investigation, and now you're the lead investigator investigating a guy that you hate and think shouldn't be in office. I mean, oh man, I listened to this interview on the radio when I was driving. I was just like, are you kidding me? Anyway, Gowdy does a good job once he gets the guy to talk a little bit, but again, you can watch the video yourself. I just trying to point out some of the problems in white government. I mean, most of my regular viewers know. Maybe some of the mushbrains who accidentally end up here will be like, that kind of makes sense. Maybe our government shouldn't be in charge of our lives and keeping us safe. Maybe our government shouldn't be passing laws that we can't have guns and protect ourselves. Maybe this isn't a good thing when they can't even interview a witness that they subpoenaed, that works for the federal government, that works in an investigation that ends up ultimately being decided by the people that are questioning, and they can't answer questions. That's your federal government work. All right, we'll end it there.